Now in this video, I'm going to show you something called a platform effector. Now this is completely optional if you want to use this for your game, but I want to make sure you know how to use it if you do. So what the platform effector is going to allow us to do is have platforms in our game that you can jump through from below and then land on them from above. So with the way we currently have our tile map set for our platforms, let's go to our tile maps, our ground tile map. I'm going to select my rule, make sure I'm on ground maps, and I'm just going to draw a platform here. Okay, so now I'm going to run the game. And if we take our player and we jump, oh, we can't reach it because our jump's very low. So you know what? For this, I'm just going to go into our prefabs. Let's get our player. And for now, I'm just going to set our jump very strong. So I'm going to make it 10. Okay, so if we come up to this platform, we jump, we hit it, we can jump on it. But if we hit it from below, or even like at an angle, we can't go through it. That's because all of these platforms are solid. So let's just erase this one. Okay, so I'm going to create a new tile map layer. So, well, a whole new tile map. So I'm going to right click 2D object, tile map, rectangular. I'm going to call this jump through platforms. So just a bit of our setup. We want to set the layer to be ground because it's just like our platforms. And I want to add a component. So I'm going to add a tile map collider. And then I'm going to add a composite collider. So just like we've done before, I'll set the rigid body to static. And for the collider, I want to set used by composite. Okay, so we have this whole new layer. Oh, and we also have to set the sorting layer to platforms. Okay, so let's select our rule tile. Make sure we're on jump through platforms layer. Okay, so I'm going to paint a little platform here. Actually, I'll make a couple just so we have them. Okay, that's all we need there. So let's run this. And currently this works exactly the same. It's just on a different tile map. So if we jump, we can't jump through them. We can land on them. And because they're ground, we can jump. So now if we want to be able to jump through these, Unity has what's called an effector. And there's quite a few effectors. There's stuff like buoyancy. So if you're making something you want to float in water, a lot of that's built in. We have one here, if we search for effector, called Platform Effector. So if I select this, now we have it here, but what we have to do is go onto our tile map collider. Actually, in this case, our composite collider, and we have to check used by effector. So now it's actually going to use this effector, and you can see there's this gizmo in here. It's like a dome. This is showing us where you can jump through from. So with this 180 arc, it means you can land on top and you won't go through, but if you come from the bottom, you can jump through it. So let's go test this out. I come through, I can jump above, and then I land on it. And now if I land from above, it's solid. So if I stop the game, we can look at it here. We have quite a few different options. We can set what works with this effector. And then we can also change the arc. So if you want, you can make it very small so you can't jump from certain angles. I want to leave it as 180. Okay, so now we have this layer. So if you do want to use platforms in your game that you can jump through, we now have a layer that allows you to do that. And you can just make sure you paint onto that layer and whatever platforms are there. One thing I want to mention is watch how you do this though, because if you do make platforms sort of like this, they do have the collider that you're not going to be able to go through. So you can see here, we actually get stuck in it because it has a collider on that wall. So if you do want platforms sort of like that, we would have to rework that into a bit of a different system. If you did want to do something like that, what I would suggest is use a separate tile map and don't put a collider on your tile map layer, and just manually add them on each platform with the effector. And then you would be able to walk through all these parts no problem. So I'm just going to delete these, and I'm going to leave the platform like this for now. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. I just wanted to add a quick little update to this video here. At the end, I actually forgot to make our moving platform into a prefab. So let's go to our prefabs folder, and then just drag in moving platform, and now we have it as a prefab that we can use. Okay, so this video is actually completely optional if you want to watch it or not, but I don't want to do anything off camera in this course. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to build 2 better levels for mine, since these are very small and basic, and I'm sure your levels look much better than mine already. So I'm just going to make something a bit bigger and expanded on each of my 2 levels, because we're going to start adding enemies and other things in pretty soon. So if you want to watch it just for reference and see how I build a level, feel free to watch it, and if you don't want to, you can just go to the next video. Okay, so I'm going to start with my level 01. I'm just going to save that scene. So this is the one where I have some water and stuff on here. So I'm just going to go to the tile maps. I'll go to my ground tile map. And I'm actually going to keep most of this. I'm just going to erase this one here. Oh, I just had the wrong one selected. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to remove the level exit. I'll deal with that later. Actually, I'll just leave it there, and then I'll move it later once we have an actual exit for our level. Okay, so here I'm going to make a moving platform. So I'm going to go to the prefabs. I'm going to bring in our moving platform. Just going to move it over here. So you know what? I'm going to make it start almost right at this one. And let's give it a few waypoints. Actually, I'm fine with how many it has. Let's just move them around. So maybe I'll go, it's going to go straight for the first while. And it's going to go up. And then across. So it's a bit longer one. And then we could put some enemies in this path that are flying around that we have to avoid while we're on the platform. Okay, so we have that, and now you can see with our gizmos, we can tell where it is while we're building the rest of our level. So let's go back to the ground tile map. I'm going to select my rule. I'll put another platform right here. Oh, actually, I'm going to move it over because our platform's going to stick out a little bit. So you know what? I'll actually make it a bit below, and we can jump down to it. Okay, so that's going to be the end of my level. Move this guy way over here. I'm going to make a little wall type thing here that's too high for us to jump over. And now we have to put a moving platform here. So I'm going to put this. I'm going to change it to only 2 waypoints. Move it here. And get rid of these 2. And let's put it about here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my hazards layer. I'm going to change to hazards. Go to the items palette. I'm going to put a bunch of spikes under here. Actually, I'm going to make this whole platform spikes. Now I'm going to go to the ground. I'm just going to make a very small platform here. Maybe that one. So we have to jump on that, then jump onto this, and then wait and jump. Okay, so I think that's pretty good for this one, and I'm just going to add the water. So now I'm going to go to my water. I don't have to worry about that because I can just paint over that when I get to it. And I want to make sure it extends past the camera enough. Okay, so that should be good. Now we can use that fill tool. And you can see this is much easier. All right, I think that's pretty good for this level, so I just want to test it out. We always want to play test what we make. Oh, and I can turn that jump down a lot. So I'll go to the player prefab. Set this to maybe 6. I think it was at 5 before. Okay, so we got this. We just want to make sure our level is playable. Now, we're probably going to want to give the player some kind of reason to know that there's a platform here. So we might want to draw some lines or something later, kind of like Super Mario 3 does similar, just so we know something should be here, because this platform takes a long time to move and then come back. Okay, so one problem there, so now we're going to have to figure that out pretty soon, is we go out of the screen of our camera. So for right now, I'm going to leave that there, and we'll deal with that later. Now also this spot, we have no way to get through. Okay, so we should probably add, maybe I'll add the same moving platform here. So I'm just going to hit Control D to duplicate it and just move it right here, move it down a bit, and then we're good there. So the part with going out of the camera, I'm going to deal with that later because we're actually going to use a much better camera system pretty soon. So I'm just going to try this again. I want to make sure my level works, and then I'll move on to the next one. Oh, and I died there. So that's definitely a long time to wait. So that's part of the user experience. We don't want to leave our player thinking he should know what's going on. It's our job to explain that to them. Okay, so now we have this platform. We hop up. Still a little janky when we jump on stuff, but that's something we're going to deal with later. Okay, that next part was pretty far, so we need to make sure we can get up to this platform. So maybe we need another small one. And this is where playtesting comes in. So the more you play, the more you realize what you have to do for your game. And it's good practice to get somebody else to do lots of playtesting as well, because you always get used to your game and it's going to get much easier for you than it is for somebody else. Okay, kind of a weird platform, kind of like that. So let's try one more time. This should work now. Okay, so we can't quite see above here yet. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as it is, even though it's off camera. We're going to adjust our camera to work with that later. Okay, so now that that level's done, I'm going to do the same thing, but for level 02. So first thing, I'm going to get rid of these jump through platforms. I'm not even sure if I'm going to use these in mine, but we have them here if we need them. So now I think I'm going to leave this first part the way it is. I'm going to switch my palette to go to my dirt palette. I'm going to erase this one, and I'll move my exit a bit further out right away. I'm going to move my moving platform over here. So I'm going to make this moving platform actually go somewhere around here. I'm going to leave the path the way it is. Again, we'll make it dodge some enemies and things like that. Actually, just going to move, make it kind of more of a zigzag and not so far out. Okay, so we'll go with something like that. And we can put some obstacles you have to avoid or kill here. Now, I don't have a rule tile in here, So what I'm going to do is go to my tiles folder. I'm going to go to the rule tiles. We have the grass one. I'm going to duplicate this, so hit Control D, and I'm just going to call it dirt platform rule. So then I can use the same one here, but we'll just drag in different sprites. So if I go back to this dirt folder, now I'll just drag in the dirt equivalents. So we'll put that. Put this. There, so now it works the exact same way. We just have to go back to our rule tiles, and now I have to drag this in, so I'm going to put it right in this tile. So now if I select this, now I got a dirt rule tile. So let's make a little platform here. Now later, if you wanted, you could actually use these angle ones to fill in these corner pieces here if that's something that you wanted to do, and that would make it look a little more rounded and not so square. For now, I like the look of this. I'm fine with this for my game. And I'm just going to go with this. So I'm just going to move the level exit. Do a really quick little play test. So again, same thing here. We're going to want to display something to show that there is a moving platform here. So then the player knows they should wait for something. Because otherwise it almost seems like it's a bug and there's nothing there. And then we're going to have to start tweaking our jump setting to make sure we get something that we like. There we go. And the next level loads. Okay, so I'm going to leave my levels like this for now. One thing I just realized is I forgot to add some checkpoints into each of these levels. So I'm just going to do that quick. So I'm going to go back to level 1. We already have our checkpoint system created in the game manager. So all we have to do is add in our prefab. So checkpoint. So I'm going to add one right here, just before this big platform. And maybe I'll add one up here. Okay, so we'll go with that. Control S to save my scene. I'm going to go to level 2. And maybe I'll put one right here before this. I might be too close to spawn them on, but we'll see. So we'll go with that, and then I'll put one here just to test. Okay, so let's just try these out quick and make sure they still work. Okay, so I touched this one, so let's fall off. Yeah, so this one might not be the best place, but what I'll do is I'm just going to extend that platform a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to go to my tile map. Make sure I'm on the ground tile map. Okay, so we're testing our game. We just want to make sure this works. I'm going to fall off and I respawn. Okay, so everything's working. I will see you in the next video.